Start off by removing the front left wheel. This will give you access to this hole down here, or this part just might be gone. On the other side is the crank pulley. You're going to use a ratchet wrench with a long extension and a 17mm socket, which you can go ahead and insert through here onto the bolt on the crank pulley. By turning this counterclockwise, and only turn this counterclockwise, you can rotate the crank, which will allow you to get the valves in the positions you need to adjust the rocker arms and the valve lash settings. The next thing we're going to do is pull the spark plug wires. They're all different lengths, so the longest one is going to go to the farthest cylinder, so it's cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4. So pull off the spark plugs. And we can just go ahead and put these over here out of the way. Again, it's going to be easy to keep track of which one goes to which cylinder. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove this cable here, which is mounted on there. Just got to get that out of the way. Sneak this out of the way, just to get that out of the way there. And then there's 5 bolts that hold the valve cover on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Again, those are 10mm sockets. Next, I'm going to remove this hose off the back here. There's just a little hose clamp on here, so with a pair of pliers to squeeze that off. And can I get this, just kind of rotate that, get it off. So I got that off. And now I should be able to maybe get this off. Lift this off out of place. And we're going to go ahead and keep the valve gasket and hopefully reuse that. There are a couple ways to find the top dead center, which you need to do. Right now I have it set to top dead center, and I have it so that it's currently set to cylinder 1. So right now all these, the valves here, they're loose. So I can remove those. And I'll show you how to do that. One way is to pull this part off to expose the pulley under here, and then there's a little part that points up, says top, but it's a real pain in the butt to remove this, but I'll show you a couple of easier ways to do that. Okay, I'll show you one way. On the inside of this pulley here, there's a little notch right inside there, and when you hit top dead center, that little notch is going to be level with the top of the head here. After you rotate it, the crank like 180 or 360 degrees. Right now this is loose. If I rotate it again to where this is lined up, the number 4 cylinder will be loose. But for right now, I'm going to do number 1, so I want that lined up there. See these little gun sights down here? I'm kind of pointing the flashlight at them right there. There's a little V, and then down below there's like another little thing. Those will line up with a little notch or a little line on the wheel down there. And what you're going to do is when you rotate this wheel using your ratchet wrench through the hole in the wheel well, you're going to rotate this counterclockwise till this individual line lines up with the little gun sight there. Locate the vehicle emission control information sticker on the underside of your hood, and if you look right here, you'll find the valve lash values for both the intake and the exhaust. Okay, I have the thing set to top dead center, and right now the valves on cylinder 1, this is cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, cylinder 1 are right now loose. So I have my feeler gauges here. I have like the 0.2 millimeter for the intakes and the 0.25 for the exhaust. The intakes are on this side and the exhaust is on this side. So basically where your exhaust manifold is, those valves are for the exhaust, and over where the fuel injectors are, those are for the intakes. So let me see, according to the sticker, the intake should be set to 0.2 and the exhaust should be set to 0.25. So if I stick the 0.25 in here, this one's kind of loose with the 0.25. This one on the other hand is pretty tight, and over on the intake side, they're way loose. So let's start with the exhaust side here. This one here seems to be tight and this one here seems to be a little bit loose in there. So using a 10 millimeter box end wrench, I'm going to go ahead and break this one loose. Be tight. There we go. And then the screw might be kind of tight as well, because there it is. So I need to set these to 0.25. So I'll stick the feeler gauge down in there. Loosen it up a little bit. Tighten that up in there. So I want a bit of resistance, but not too much, not too little. Once I get that set, I'm going to hold the screw in place and then tighten the nut. And then I'll double check it to make sure that it still feels good. Good, I got resistance there, but doesn't lock on it. Okay, now that once we've got that set up, we're going to go to the next cylinder. Okay, what I'm going to do is my ratchet wrench that goes into the bolt in through the wheel well. I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. So I'll start with this on top, and I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise. Only turn this counterclockwise till it points straight down. There we go. We should be ready to do the next cylinder now. Now we should be set to do cylinder number 3. So we did 1, we turned it 180 degrees, now we should be set to be number 3. So these valves are all loose, and so we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing that we did on cylinder number 1. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next cylinder, and the next cylinder should be number 4. So I'm going to use the gun sight here to go ahead and line up. So I should be able to rotate this around, be about 180 degrees. Here's my lines. Just a little bit more. That looks good. And again, there's my little notch, and it's lined up flat with that, so I'm right good there. And I should be set up with number 4. These are all loose, so I'm all set to do cylinder number 4. Okay, time to do the last cylinder. Again, I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees, put it up, straight up to the top, rotate it till it's pointed straight down. There. Now it should be able to be set to do cylinder number 2. The firing order of this is 1, 3, 4, 2. So right now the valves on number 2 are loose, so we'll go ahead and do those. Okay, I finished setting all the gaps on all the rocker arms here and all the valves, and I went through with the torque wrench and torqued down all the lock nuts. So the next thing is I'm going to get ready to put this thing back together. So I'm going to take a shop rag and clean all the contact area for the gasket. I've got the valve cover here, and I've seated the gasket, the same gasket that was in there, is all seated within there, and I'm going to go ahead and clean that off. Make sure everything's nice and clean, seated. Look over here where the liquid gasket had been, kind of clean that off. Okay, I'm going to apply some liquid gasket to 4 places. Right here in these little kind of indents here, or like little gaps here, 1, 2, and then 3, 4. Just squeeze a little bit of liquid gasket in there, just because the gasket in the valve cover just doesn't seal well in those areas. So squeeze a little bit in there. Then we're going to go ahead and you also want to check all the spark plug gaskets while you're in there. Make sure they look okay, and they look okay. So we'll go ahead and reinstall the valve cover. Drop it into place. Okay, now you want to tighten the bolts. Not all at one time, but kind of just a little bit. Kind of go around. and go ahead. There you go with that. Start putting the rest of this back together here. That in there. Here. All that. Okay, now that I got this thing all put together, let's go ahead and start it and see what it sounds like.